What's going on, Internet? I'm Christopher Peterson, and you're listening to a Nerd EXP interview. Today I'm hanging out with unsung hero of Kinda Funny, Wing Devourer, YouTube sensation, my best friend, and yours, Mizzou fanboy, PlayStation powerhouse. No, that's Ryan.
Oh,
Greg Miller.
What's up? Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, definitely. Glad to have you.
It's a pleasure, dude. How you doing?
Doing great. How do you like MomoCon?
I love MomoCon. This is my second MomoCon, and it was last year. You know, they reached out to me about coming in and doing some panels and stuff, and I was like, okay, like, you know, up and coming convention, we'll get there and see what it's like. And the energy here, man. The energy of the people here are so excited to be here. The cosplay is fantastic, and everybody's just a fan of something. And I was like, day one of last year, I was like, I got to be here from now on. So now I'm here. I have the whole Kinda Funny crew with me. We just did Colin and Greg live for the first time in front of an audience, which was crazy and cool.
And no technical glitches.
Oh yeah, totally.
Ran
Ran like a. No, I ran like the normal train wreck our shows are, or at least our live shows are. YouTube-wise, we're pretty good. Twitch-wise, something bad's gonna happen.
So you like passionate fan base, and I feel like Patreon is definitely a huge following for you guys.
Sure.
Will you ever get off Patreon? Will there ever be a time where you'll be completely corporate sponsored and, you know, kind of...
If we evolve off Patreon, and then maybe not even if, but when, right? For those who don't know, we left IGN in January and started on our own, and the reason we were able to do that is because of this site, Patreon.com. And Patreon.com is a monthly Kickstarter or subscriber program, something to that effect, where our fans come to us and give us X amount of dollars to keep living our dream and doing these different things and projects. And so what I've been saying is that my goal is January 5th, 2016, 1 year removed. We are incredibly close, if not right there, where Patreon fans are giving us this much money, and we're bringing in this much money through sponsorship, ad, YouTube, some kind of balance to it, because I don't want our audience to feel like it's all on them. You know what I mean? Like, we left, and we believe in this business clearly with people who believe in us as well, so it's time for there to be proof in the pudding kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, in terms of the future, it would be one of those things, if we were to wean off Patreon, to go away from Patreon, that we have no plans for that now. But I see it be something like Rooster Teeth, right? Follow that model. Take it internal. You're a subscriber to kindafunny.com. It gets you the exclusive access. It does this, that, and the other.
I mean, you guys have always been very transparent about the business model from the beginning, right? How it was going, the advertisements. Some people kind of scoffed at it.
Sure.
They never really bothered me. Like, what was like the whole hubbub about it? Like, you guys.
Oh, the hubbub about it has changed.
Put them in like seamlessly for the most part.
Right. No. The hubbub about it in general has changed, and it was Colin and I, and Colin maybe to even more than me, we're very, very, very hypercritical, worried about what the audience is going to react to. Because it's very, very much one of those things of, there'll be the one negative comment and we get hung up on it versus, you know, there's still hundreds of positive ones. But if somebody has like a legitimate, you're saying too much about this, you're doing this, why are you so negative, we get hung up on it. So when the ads started, and we started doing them in a different way, because we, of course, been doing ads forever. Nature Box this, Bark Box that. People understood that. But when we got aggressive with it and started putting in, you know, the VO over something before, I'm like, you know, blah, blah, it's brought to you by so-and-so, and for this. And then doing the entrances in there, we got worried when it all came together the first time, because the way we were sold was different. We had one that started where it was like, hey, everybody, go to this, da-da-da-da. All right, here's the show. The show starts, and then I immediately say the same thing, because when our people booked them, our agency booked them and did all this different stuff, they sold it in a way that they sold the breakout and the whole show. So there's just little learning curves to that, little speed bumps we had to go. And so for us, it is very much that I know fans bought into it and give us money through Patreon. We want to make sure that they understand that we're not trying to get away from that. We're not trying to hoodwink them. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that we're on the up and up in what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you definitely always are. Definitely a huge fan following and kind of fervor. And people are always asking for more. They always want more. I feel like you guys already do, I don't know, 9, 10 plus hours of content. And that's just on the regular.
Yeah.
That's like counting like...
That's probably something like that, right? Like you figure hour and a half long podcast a week twice, and then Colin and Greg live daily, which is an hour and 15, hour and a half. Then there's Let's Play every day, and then there's the random reacts, then there's this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's getting up there. We're pushing it for sure.
Do you have a goal in point and like a stopping point? Not necessarily stopping like doing it, but like, you know what, 6 shows is good enough. 7 shows is kind of where we hit our limit, or is the goal maybe to keep steamrolling, keep growing?
The goal is to see how far we can push it in ourselves without, the audience going, you're putting out too much, which we do already get, but I think the overwhelming is that they want more.
They're wrong.
And then not killing ourselves, because we already do push ourselves too hard. I think the way you see it enacted in the way we do it, right, is the fact that things run for seasons. And not like a real season or anything, but like, all right, you're going to get Oreo-ration until they run out, and then there'll be a break, and then we're going to bring in something different. The conversation with Colin comes back, that takes a break. And, June 1st, we start Love and Sex Stuff with Tim, which is Tim and Nick, their new show that'll be up on the thing. And so that's the way we keep ourselves sane, where we're able to bring in a new product that we love, or maybe an old product to bring back and say, hey, this is what we want to do right now, and then phase it out or whatever, to come back and do it again later, or put something else in. And right now, that seems to be the right formula. And for the fact that we're still just 5 guys in a spare bedroom, that's pretty much what we can do, right?
You say the 5 guys, and then you kind of say like, oh, when we can, we'll expand.
Yeah.
Will it always be off screen? Do you ever have any plans to expand on screen, or will it kind of always be those 4 and we'll pick up, the 6th, 7th, 8th person will be more administrative? Sure.
I think right now the plan that we have in mind when we look down the road of what we're doing, right, is we need a studio, and we need an administrator, and we need somebody who can deal with just the rigmarole of the stupid things that pop up. Because today has been this crazy thing of Nick and Tim did this shoot with New Amsterdam vodka, and so then we're supposed to put up these videos timed with that for the thing that Nick and Tim filmed for them, and then they needed to move it, so we're moving it around, but we're moving it around on Colin's laptop while we go up the escalator to the panel. It's just, we all wear so many hats, and when we're talking about earlier about these ads and trying to get sponsorships and trying to get enough money for the next steps to get the studio, that's all on Nick and Tim usually, really Tim. So Tim has a million SOWs, they're called, statement of works in front of him, where he's trying to figure out where all these videos go and what the ad has to be and what I have to say, and it's just it's a lot of plates for him to spin when he's also staying up till 3 in the morning editing Kind of Funny Live, when he's also trying to be on the shows and getting Gamecast topics. And right now that's where the pressure needs to be relieved. It's not killing us, obviously, but we're anxious for the day when it's like, hey, you just have to go on camera and be goofy, oh, great.
Nick and Tim tell you what to say?
For the ads, yeah, they'll come to me and be like, hey, okay, that we're sponsored this month by, or whatever, this week by X. Tim will give me the pre-roll copy, we call it, right? Which is a pre-roll being the static screen that says, hey, go to whoever, and enter the code Kind of Funny. That's something they give me in a written format. Tim has already negotiated it, written it for us.
Okay.
They don't tell me what to say in terms of the podcast. No one tells Greg Miller what to say, except Christine.
Nick doesn't tell you to yell at him and...
No, I think he would love me to stop that. I think he only ever told me to stop saying scumbag.
Scumbag. That was actually a question. Scumbag's the best friends.
Yeah.
I like being a best friend better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you...
It worked out in the end.
You were lobbying for Scumbag really hard.
I was,
Are you okay with the...
I like best friends a lot, I think, because it's what I've said for years, right?
Yeah.
I was saying that when we were doing Beyond or anything. If you listen to this, you're a best friend. Yeah. So, to get there to that point, it would have been a harder term for someone on the outside to wrap their head around. Some people don't want to be scumbags. And you're like, I guess I can see that.
I've listened to your show for 2 episodes, and I don't know about this whole scumbag fiasco.
I feel being called a scumbag every time I turn it
on. Beyond, we just did the double shout-outs. At one point, you lobbied for Kinda Funny.
I wasn't lobbying now, to be clear. Because this has already come up today.
I'm not telling you what to say.
No, this has already come up today on the show floor of people can I still yell Beyond at you? And I'm like, yes, that will always be a part of me. That's always going to be something I built and did with my friends. So yes, and then they're like, well, is there anything for Kind of Funny? And as I've said, that's just my solution if you feel the need to yell at me when you see me. If you yell Kinda, I'll turn around and yell Funny.
Fair enough. On the shows, I feel like Game Over Greggy, you host, Colin, and Greg Live, Colin hosts, Tim hosts the Gamecast.
Yeah.
Is that how it's designed behind the scenes? You guys come with an agenda, structure, and kind of... structure.
Yeah.
Or is it all just kind of a big, let's just see what happens, and you're the one who talks most on this one, and we'll...
No, it's by design in a lot of ways. When we started, that was our thing, right? Of we're going to do this full time, we're going to do all these different shows. How do we make them... It literally is the same thing, right? There's the same rotating cast of characters in the same room doing it, and how do we make that feel different to somebody? And so, Colin wanted to host Colin and Greg Live and drive the show the Mike and Mike way so I could go back to being a personality. Because hosting versus being a personality is incredibly different. People always talk about that with GameScoop and Beyond. When I moved from being just a chair on Beyond to being the host, I suddenly was, more official and not as crazy. I wasn't drinking and screaming and talking into a fan, but I could still do that on GameScoop because of the balance of it, right? And that's the same thing you see here. And so there's these differences where, we go out and we know that Tim's going to lead the discussion and Colin and I just get to be there and talk and whatever. In terms of the structure for it, Colin and Greg Live is still put together 10 minutes before we go on the air in terms of Colin being like, here are the news stories, and we talk about them live. I've never seen, I usually haven't read them, unless I was up that morning actually looking for news. And then Gamescast and Game Over Greggy. Gamescast, Tim comes to us like, here's what I'm thinking for topics. He goes through just the top line of them, and we say, yeah, or we need to add this or that, and then we go away. And the Game Over Greggy show is, all right, what's everybody want to talk about today? And I'll be like, I want to talk about our hot dogs and sandwich. And then somebody will inevitably start going, well, I think, and we go, no, stay on the show, just letting you, okay, great, and then we go out there and do it that way. And that's the minimal structure to our garbage truck on fire.
You guys are really self-deprecating, even though you have the huge fan and audience. Is that for show, or are you really like,
I'm totally that guy.
Nobody really likes me, these 10,000 fans are just watching this show out of pity?
No, I don't think we're that self-deprecating where we think nobody likes us. We understand the relationship, and that's what I was talking about with why the best friends thing is genuine and not a marketing term to us, right? Is the fact that I've just met you, right? And I've just met you. But that connection's already there. We drop into this conversation and it's just we're rolling, and it's great because you already know me, and I already know by the fact that you engage with my content that we're best friends. That's how this works. We can stop the camera and talk about Superman or whatever movies you're into, or comics or games or whatever. Don't say anything about the fucking Marvel. But that's what we would do, right? So that's the whole thing of how it goes and how it builds. The thing about the self-deprecating nature of it is just the fact that it sets where we are, what we are building, you know what I mean? Like, we are 5 people in a spare bedroom. So inevitably when Twitch fucks up or XSplit crashes, like, the only way to get around that and not get defeated and quit is to be like, this is all we can do right now. You know what I mean? Like today, like, for a normal show, not a normal show, but like, let's say we were super polished, highbrow, we're coming to you and it's the production values and star wipes, and it looks like IG Live at MomoCon, right? If that was our show every day and we went in and did the Twitch panel and we had the first 45 minutes we had of total technical shutdown of the mics aren't outputting right, we would have been frozen and just like, well, what do we do? Our show starts all fancy and like this and this is, and that's, well, no, it isn't that for us. You know what I mean? Like, we're built for something like that to happen and us be okay with it because there's nothing else we can do. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't quit and come back with guys who know how to live stream and run all that stuff. We all learned that on the fly, you know what I mean? Like, Kevin and I have become the experts at it because we have to, there's no one else to do it. Colin's the expert at our social media because he has to be, you know what I mean? Tim knows YouTube because he grew up on YouTube, but there's so much more to it. Nick now knows how to get health insurance and all this other stuff, like all these adult things, talk to a lawyer because he has to, you know what I mean? Like, those are the situations we're put into.
Social media, how much do you kind of attribute your guys' following success to those tools, to the Twitter, the Facebook,
Sure.
kind of that environment?
For me, it's been invaluable, right? You figure the reason I was able to ascend at IGN, the reason I'm able to be a face in the video game industry is because, at least I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, has been that I'm genuine in the fact that when you tweet me, I try to respond. You know what I mean? Like, now it's to the point that there's so many tweets that I can't do it. But in the old days, when it was growing, right, like, that's what I would do, is just sit there and respond to Twitter. And that's what Colin does on our Kind of Funny account, is we replicate how we grew, right? Like, Colin responds to all his tweets too. But now that Kind of Funny is manageable, Kind of Funny vids, right? He's able to go in there and respond to everybody so that, you get a touch is what he said. Which sounds creepy for people. In the restaurant business, they call it a table touch, hey, how you guys doing? Checking down the table. When you say I want to touch you, that's restraining orders.
Unless it's in a bathroom. Then
exactly, in a bathroom and a Game Over Greggy shirt, everybody's fine with touching. It's no big deal. But yeah, no, it's been a huge part.
What's the biggest challenge, obstacle that you've had to overcome just to get here? Yeah.
Like on our own?
Yes, that's Kind of Funny.
Oh, sure, time. It's time. I mean, we don't have time to do the things we want. You know what I mean? I remember when we were getting ready to leave, we were talking, and Tim's like, I'm going to do a viral rap video every month. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm going to stream games every afternoon. Maybe I'll even take naps here and there. And then we got there, and our eyes are bleeding. And we're barely keeping up making the content that we were kind of already making, right? You figure we've added Let's Plays and a new show. And, really that's been enough to, not capsize us, but bring the water up on the sides where we're bailing out all the time. Because it's just, there's the inevitable thing during the week of, you look at it, it's all right, technically Monday afternoons and Friday afternoons are supposed to be clear so we can stream games and have a great time. But I'm going to LA and Nick's doing this and we have a call with this person, so now there's a guest in town who wants to, and you move it all around and suddenly the entire week's gridlocked again. And you're just like, wow, God, there's no way to get this going and make the strokes we want to make at that time around the painting. Just make it the little changes we can. But we're super happy with everything, obviously. Like, we've been blown away by the success in our first 5 months. So we're not knocking it. It's just like, I just wish there was more hours in the day. You know what I mean? That's what you see all of us working nonstop. Like, you know, it doesn't turn off, right? Like, Tim and Nickel edited nonstop, getting ready for Kind of Funny Live. Colin's answering tweets all the time. I'm out there scheduling content or doing whatever the hell I have to do. Like, there's all these different pieces to it. And then stuff like this comes around where there's this great event to go to, which is fantastic, but it's like, that means that's going to eat 2 days out of the normal schedule, so let's move all the shows back. We have to come in on the holiday to do all the Let's Plays for the next 2 weeks. It's just like,
You mentioned Let's Plays, and I caught part of The Witcher 3. Maybe I caught you at a bad time. But somebody was like, oh, they said something, and you're like, I don't know, I don't watch Let's Plays, I don't watch people play video games.
Yeah.
So, do you just do it because that's kind of what the fans want? Is doing it different than watching it, or like...
Doing it's way different than watching it.
Yeah.
The way and I think you're, to be clear, you're talking about...
I'm sorry,
live
stream,
stream,
right?
right?
Live
Yeah,
stream,
okay.
Yeah, I know Let's Plays are a little bit different. Nice little bite.
No, yeah, so I was playing The Witcher. I always go back to, you know, when I started twitching for the first time, like I turned it on, what's up, we're trying this out, we'll see how it goes, and I was like, I don't get why you watch these. You know what I mean? I watch them. Why would you want to watch someone else play a game? Why would you want to ruin the game? And the chat overwhelmingly responded like, no, we're not here for the game. We're here to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And like we don't care. And I was like, oh. And then as I built the Twitch presence and kept going, it was that light bulb moment of like, I was doing the thing where I'm narrating what I'm doing in the game, and then you look over at the chat, and they're talking about the raid they went on last night in Destiny because they met each other 2 days before, and you're like, okay, this is what I've always talked about, where I used to review video games, right? And I would say, I write the way I talk to my best friend in our basement when he asked me about why this video game is so great. And this is just like in high school when I was in that basement when the couch was filled with my friends. And they're having their own things, and we're playing WWF No Mercy or whatever, and occasionally somebody comments on the match, but we're really talking about what we saw in the movies last night, you know what I mean? And that's what Twitch is. And so for me, I don't go and seek out other Let's Players to watch. I do every so often, like Ray, you know, who just left Achievement Hunter, and I'll pop in on the Geek and Sundry, stuff like that. But again, I'm not going there for the game, I'm going there for the people. I'm going there because I like that community. Now, obviously, we have our own community to hang out with anytime. It's like if Sean Pitts is streaming, I want to try to pop on and see what he's doing, or check out what Zyger's up to.
You kind of mentioned watching other streamers and Twitchers. Are there any other people kind of in your space? Like, other podcasters who you listen to, I don't know, look up to, or kind of like try and see what they're doing?
Who I look up to is Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, and that was why it was so cool to work with him and get to podcast with him and stuff, because, like, Kevin Smith is, like, first off, been my hero since I was in high school watching, you know, Mallrats and Clerks for the first time. I guess I was probably 8th grade, geez. And, you know, learning about that View Askew universe and then seeing him evolve into what he's become, right? Where he's like, all right, well, now I'm going to go do this and do that. And the fact that without knowing it at the time and without knowing it when we started our things, right, of like, I'm there and I'm on the View Askew boards and I'm buying their merch and and it's like, that's what people do with us now, right? That I was part of that community and didn't really know, you know, nobody was talking about community and content back then. And so to see how he's creating content now for his fans, the way he has these podcasts that are just him talking with his friends and being awesome, and then he gets to go make movies out of it, like, that's respect, because he's doing something we already are doing, right? To see him talk to us and go back and forth, that was awesome.
One thing that you kind of have always said before was go out there and just do it.
Yeah.
Is it just that simple?
Yeah.
Do you have any? Okay.
Yeah.
Just do it.
No, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, like, if you're at home and you're like, man, I'd love to do that. I can't wait to get this camera, and I can't wait to get this thing. And no, you're fucking up right now. Stop it. Do it. You have an iPhone. You have a camera on your laptop. You have all these different things, because the whole point of it is, like, you can go back and listen to my first Game Scoop and my first IGN is AFK and watch my first, and I'm terrible. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a normal person who's walked in now who had always thought I'm going to go write about video games, not that I'm going to sit there and talk about video games. So to get in there and learn a cadence and learn to think while you speak, like, that's hard. And I know it doesn't sound hard because you think you do it all the time, but when you get out there and you try to do it, you learn real quick of like, oh, this isn't as easy as people make it look. I always talk about it that videos and podcasts and writing and all these different things are muscles. You need to flex them. You need to exercise them. And I know that's hilarious coming from Believe You're a Team Fat.
What are you talking about?
I'm still fat, bro.
Where?
Right, it's all good.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's no definition. There's no definition there. But I mean, like, you have to get out there and do these things so that when you get the opportunities, you can succeed at them, right? Because like when I was still at IGN, we bring in people all the time. We're like, oh man, your writing samples are awesome. Let's do a camera test, and just nosedive. You know what I mean? They didn't know what to do because they weren't prepped. I was talking about it like, you know, and you're like in Persona or whatever, right? Like when you go into your skill tree, you're like, it's the thing, and it's like all pulled out to the max on all these things, and then just dead on one side of it. You're like, well, ooh, you gotta fix that.
Do you think just writing is dead? Like being, I just blog, I just write about this. Do you think that, you know, if you want to have is there still a niche for that, or is it you need a podcast, you need a video, you need?
It all depends on what you want. That's the whole good thing. What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? You know what I mean? If you want to go be at IGN, yes, you need to be doing everything. You know what I mean? If you want to be just a blogger, but be the biggest blogger, then yeah, you're gonna have to be ready for like when CNN or, you know, publication X comes calling you and wants to have you on as a talking head, because that's also how you grow. That's how you exponentially grow, right? Like I was talking about it, the biggest growth we had ever seen on our channel, pre-quitting of course, was when I went on Gauntlet for Rooster Teeth, right? And it was like I came in and the Rooster Teeth people are like, this guy's approved cool. And then everybody's like, oh cool, and they gave me the follow. When I asked, in the video I asked them to come subscribe to my channel, you know what I mean? And like you saw like the steady growth, and then all of a sudden, and then it was just back to steady growth, because you need to take those opportunities.
Kind of Funny Live, big opportunity. I remember when you guys first talked about it, I was like, oh, it's gonna be kind of like Beyond 300, Beyond 200. It was not.
Yeah.
It was so much more.
Yeah.
Was that a one and done?
Oh,
is it gonna be?
no.
Is it gonna be annual?
Is
it gonna be a rotating tour? Are we gonna see it across the country?
See, now that's the thing. Is like it's funny because like when we pitched it originally, because it was a Patreon goal, we'll do a live event, right? To me, Colin and I, that meant we're gonna do a live podcast and get drunk and hang out. It'll be easy. It'll be no problem. And Tim and Nick are the ones who are like, yes. But, you know, and like, we're going to do the presidential debate as its own thing. And like, what if we did it here? Oh, it makes sense, sure. And then it was like, well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And like, they are the ones who built onto this thing to make this amazing product that Kind of Funny Live was. Go watch it at youtube.com/kindoffunny. And in terms of what we want to do, again, in my initial planning was like, oh, while we're there, we'll announce that we're going to do a world tour, or cross-country tour in everybody's hometown. So this would have been Tim's in San Francisco. We'll go to LA for Nick. We'll go to Chicago for me, New York for Colin. And I was in my head, I'm like, well, they can just be the panels we do at like New York Comic Con and everything else like that too. And then like seeing this, it's like, oh, well, first off, we're addicted to this feeling. This was amazing, and like it was awesome to blow people out of the water and give them something they didn't expect, and it was so awesome. But trying to do, now knowing how much work went into that in our own hometown where we knew everything, trying to replicate that in New York, I would cry every night. You know what I mean? Of like, where am I sending these people? And like, because we had to do so many inspections and stuff in the event. Like, yes, it's gonna be, we think of it as annual right now. But not to say it'll always be in, you know, May or whatever. But
you heard it here first. May 2016.
Everyone
Kind
book
of
your
Funny
tickets
Live.
right now. But we think of it as an annual event. It's something we would definitely want to revisit and do again and again.
Final question.
Yeah.
Unless you say something really interesting, which I guess I'm really setting myself up now. Do you ever think you'll lose a charm if you did leave the apartment? If you did go to the studio?
No.
Is that part of the...
No, because you'll still have the same jackassery from all of us. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we'll keep the low budget effects and settings. I think what's so exciting about us right now, and what I love to see our audience get, you know, maybe we'll burn out and it'll all explode, and you look back at this video and be like, this guy did nothing. But I get the feeling, and the audience seems like they get the feeling, that we're all building something. You know what I mean? Every success we have on our level, for Kind of Funny, is a success for the audience and our Patreons and these people who believed in us, right? Like, I always talked about the fact that, like, Patreon changed our lives because it gave us the money to leave. So this is the seed money that, you know what I mean, that is allowing us to build this business. So when we get that milestone of, hey guys, this is our studio, we have an address, we have a front door, we are currently saving artwork, or I don't tell the guys, they probably don't know, but I'm saving fan art and all this different stuff that, like, when we get the space that I'm gonna get framed and put on the walls and be like, from humble beginnings, you know what I mean? Like, I made sure I preserved every one of the posters from Kind of Funny Live and have all this different stuff. Like, we're building something, and for me personally, and I mean, I guess Beyond would be the one that I've been there from the beginning of, but like, outside of that is something I've been a fan of and seen grow. I always feel like, you know, like Kevin Smith, like, I got in at Mallrats, really, and that's when I went back, and like, he was already a thing by then, right? And then some people, we think he went down after that, I think he went up, but it's like, in Superman, right? Like, I love Superman, but
dude, it been like by the time I was reading it, around 50 years. Like it's not like I was there like to see something happening and feel like it. That's what's so exciting about the energy of everything right now with Kickstarter, Patreon, you know, indie games. It doesn't matter. Like you have this thing where you can get there and support the creators you love and watch them do awesome stuff. So when we lose the charm, no, we'll still be a bunch of idiots. It'll be even worse because now wherever we go, I'll probably have to buy a car. I'll have to drive Colin because he doesn't drive anywhere, so we'll be bitching the whole time about something stupid. And then the content would switch out too, where it's like suddenly, if Kevin and Nick want to stream at 7 o'clock on a night, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? They can do that from the studio. We can do weekend productions. We can make it so that all the content sounds the same, which would be big for us too. You know what I mean? Like technical hiccups are always our thing because we use the same equipment for 3 different shows and everything's a little bit different, and then you didn't set it back. So Colin and Greg Go Live was great on Tuesday, but on Wednesday it starts with no sound because we didn't turn something on that we turned off last night.
Colin and Greg Live is great every day. If you know me, you probably know Greg. But if you don't, follow him on Twitter, GameOverGreggy. Go to kindoffunnyforums.com, patreon.kindoffunny.com/kindoffunny. Any URL.com/kindoffunny will probably lead you there.
Probably. Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you, Greg. Definitely appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And thank you guys for listening and watching. I hope that this helped you with your Kind of Funny IQ. Level up, friends.